opening remarks, I would like to invite on stage the National President of Student Islamic Organization, Brother Nahas Mala. I think he needs no introduction in this audience. Brother Nahas, stage is yours.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Distinguished guests, dear brothers and sisters, first of all, I would like to thank you once again and congratulate you on your presence over here. And this is a humble effort from CRT, CSR and SIO to paving way for an orientation towards a new realm of writing history. I must recall one incident which was mentioned by Noam Chomsky in one of his books. He quotes Saint Augustine, that Saint Augustine says a story of the was produced in front of the Alexander the Great. And Alexander openly says, "How dare you molest the seas?" In which the pirate replied, "How dare you molest the whole world?" When I do with a small boat, I am called thief and I am called pirate. With a large navy, with a large army, you do the same, you are called king. It's the same. The history of Alexander and the history of the pirate. We know how well written, how well organized, how well verbalized and articulated the history of the oppressors, and how well marginalized the history of oppressed. It's my duty, nothing but to give an introduction towards on what realm this history summit comes or is all about. We all know the discourse on modernity largely impacted historiography through its objectivity and positivism, subsidizing it with a homogeneous hegemony of past events under the realms of power. The intrinsic relations of power and knowledge led to an abundance of knowledge pursued to be more precisely beneficial for the colonial powers and imperial elites. So, subsequently, the production of ownership of power elites at the expense of diverse history of the colonized. The colonial power structure made much more endeavors to formulate the history of their own subject under the spectacle of Eurocentric epistemology. That is obviously or to mark the other. We all know the narration of Mr. Edwards Said. He rightly says that every knowledge is an interpretation. The scholars of late 20th century strove to unfold the patterns of hegemony and power in the domain of knowledge. When we come to historiography, it has a long history since the struggle of dominance between the colonial powers and then ruling regimes till. Fundamental question which emerges at this juncture and more precisely in this summit as well, how has the history been perceived by various actors of dominance and hegemony in both political and social scenarios. At a broader level, we can trace these perspectives into three larger aspects of Indian history. The first one, political dominance of power elites since colonial hegemony. The second one, negligence of diverse histories of the marginalized communities. The last one, marginalization of lived pluralistic societies of people. And more precisely, we are witnessing now the Hindutva spectrum, we all know, we are witnessing various discourses emerging around the historiography of Indian past, especially from the quarters of Hindutva political spectrum. The existing scenario compels one to be informed about those discourses with a clear perspective of historiography and undercurrents in the realm of history writing. Some of the long existing historic narratives are being challenged while others are going through paradigmatic changes in the hands of ruling regimes. And many attempts are made to reorient historical facts with mythological stories and fictional narrations. In between, I must say, recently we had published a book under CERT on Pradesh, Gujarat, and Rajasthan states syllabus. And you know, and it's available over here, Poisoning Young Minds, Yuva Manasson Ka Vishakaran Nami ek kitab hai. In the history textbooks, huge amount of misinformation and misconceptions about medieval Indian history are being spread, while eulogy of a mythical golden age of ancient India is becoming excessively incorporated in the curriculum. And lastly, the political assertion around marginalized identities are detested in the arena of mainstream historiography by labeling it as identity or community politics, or identity communal politics, secular or communal politics, or liberal conservative, humanist casteists. This dichotomy, these binaries, all are seen over here. And it's a challenging task for academia. We know that methodology of the searching for an alternative methodology for historiography beyond these binaries is a challenging endeavor for academia in order to resist Hindutva's rewriting of history. And now history is in the making. Even today, logical state, how history is in the making, we all know that. And grand narratives of power elites while expanding the scope of Indian history into diverse horizons. And we hope this two-day academic summit will pave the way to have a nice idea and broad vision towards all these aspects. And I once again use this opportunity, take this opportunity. Thank you for your presence. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.